93 and 103.7. Welcome in to News and Views with Tom Lamprecht. The stories you've heard and the ones you need to hear.
Democrat-run cities.
They're threatening to riot more.
That are horrible in crime. There's no law and order.
Without filling this seat, this election could last weeks or months.
5 women are being looked at and vetted very carefully.
The president nominates and the Senate confirms.
The president is out leading.
Your life, your values, your voice. This is News and Views with Tom Lamprecht on Talk 96.3 and 103.7.
All right, welcome in. News and Views for a Tuesday. Tom Lamprecht, Bernie Hardy. Good to have you with us. And boy, take a day off and everything changes. I mean, everything changes. We have Ruth Bader Ginsburg has passed away, and we'll get into that. First, however, though, tomorrow's a big day in eastern North Carolina. The Women for Trump bus tour will make its Eastern Carolina stop at the Greenville Convention Center. Now, if you were planning on going and or you thought originally it was going to start at 6 o'clock, it's changed. It's going to begin at 4 o'clock tomorrow. You can go over to the convention center at 3 o'clock, and it's going to be a good time. Laura Trump, of course, is the headliner, the daughter-in-law of the president. Diamond and Silk will be there. Also, Katrina Pierson will be there. She's a senior advisor for the Trump campaign, and Katrina is on the line with us right now. Katrina, welcome in.
Well, hello. Thank you for having me. And you're right. I am on the big pink bus with Diamond and Silk and, of course, our beloved Laura Trump. And we're here in North Carolina, her home state, and we're ready to see everyone tomorrow.
So this whole event obviously is aimed for women. The guys can come too, but the Women for Trump rally is out there trying to encourage women to get on the Trump train. How long has the Trump tour been going on, and how successful do you think it's? How successful do you think it is for the campaign?
I think it's absolutely one of the most successful things of the campaign. And to your point, we do allow men to come, so please come out and see us. And we've actually been in North Carolina all day today. We'll be here tomorrow. We started out in Asheville, and the tour itself has been going on for the last few months. We've been to Maine. We've been to Wisconsin. We've been to Nevada, Arizona. We've been to Florida, Michigan, Iowa, all over the place. And you know, it's one of the reasons that we do this is because we know the mainstream media is not going to tell the truth about the president and his accomplishments, and we get to go directly to the people on these tours, and then we also get to celebrate with all of the voters and volunteers who are out there supporting the president.
Now, the polling, and but believe me, I take the polling with a grain of salt, but the polling continues to come back and say the weakest area for the president is suburban women. Let me ask you, with what has gone on and what will be happening over the next several weeks with the death of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and we're looking at one of 5 women, Amy Barrett, it looks like she might be the front runner. How do you think that's going to play out? Because I would think if the Democrats handle whoever the nominee is as they handled Brett Kavanaugh or they handled Neil Gorsuch or any of the other recent nominees, I would think that would play into gaining votes for suburban women.
Well, I think you're right. And, you know, when we talk about the polls, we heard the exact same thing in 2016. Remember, women don't like Trump, suburban women, he's going to lose them by a landslide, and it just didn't happen. But now it's different. Mainly because the president has a record of success for women. He has a record of success with the economy. Before the pandemic artificially interrupted the economy, this president has delivered an economy that was so strong and so robust and so successful that it actually withstood a pandemic, something that we would have never have seen if a Democrat were in charge. So not only does he have his record, but the left has finally showed its ugly little face, and suburban women are seeing exactly what the Democrats have been supporting this entire time. When we saw riots and violence and anarchy go on for months, and the Democrats said nothing. People pay attention to these things. You know, suburban women care about their families like everyone else. They want law and order, and I think that the left is going to show their face again. But at the end of the day, President Trump has a record of success for women, and I think women are going to turn out and support that for another 4 years.
Hey, Katrina, this is Benny. So you guys were in Asheville today. I was there recently, and Asheville is not the same Asheville it was 25 years ago. What kind of reception you guys get there?
I think we had a great reception. You know, one of the things that we hear a lot out on the road, and I'll compare this again to 2016, because I think it's a great litmus. Before, and Laura tells the story all the time, in 2016 that people would come up to us and quietly say, we support Trump, or they would lean over and give us the thumbs up sign. But today it's different. We literally went to Target, and we walked out of Target, and by the time we made it outside, people had banners and flags, apparently, that were just in their cars. So the thing is, our supporters are out there. We love to draw them out when we come through town. Of course, you're going to have your detractors, but I think the excitement and the enthusiasm across the country is the same, if not better, than it was in 2016.
That's interesting. And, we were talking last week, boy, when you get out into the countryside especially, you see all kinds of Trump signs. I'm not seeing the Biden signs, but I am seeing the Trump signs. Let me back up to 20,000 feet. You've got a fascinating story, Katrina. Benny and I were talking before the program. In 2008, the first time Barack Obama was running, you voted for Barack Obama. What happened between 2008 and 2009? Because in that time period, you went from voting for Barack Obama to being one of the leaders of the Tea Party. What happened?
Well, what's fascinating about that is the fake news media, because I never voted for Barack Obama.
Really?
Yeah, and I can't get Wikipedia to change it, even though the stories have been retracted. But it is fascinating because I have always talked about this, and a lot of people, because of Wikipedia, continue to think that, but it just simply wasn't the case. But I have to tell you that so many people in my family have that story. And again, this is all about the record. One of the things that President Trump has done for Black America is really bring the problems to the forefront, because this entire time we've heard candidates for decades talk about the problems of Black America, the issues of Black America, but no one has ever stepped up to solve those problems or even address the issues. And when we look at police reform, something that has everybody all fired up today, Barack Obama did nothing. People forget that Black Lives Matter started under Barack Obama, and he did nothing. President Trump stepped in and addressed the issue last year before all of this happened. Black Americans are seeing that President Trump is leading on the issues that have been hurting Black America for decades.
Now, for our listeners, I think your dad was Black and your mom was white. Is that correct?
Yes.
And so when you say that some of your people in your family, I assume that you also come from some in your family are very liberal and some are very conservative. Is that a good assumption?
Absolutely. No, that is absolutely.
How did you land on the? How did you get away from the dark side and come onto the light side? Come into the light as a conservative?
Yeah. You know what's interesting about that is, and it's funny because I didn't speak to my stepmother for years after President won the election, but I think it's just my life. Growing up to a teenage mother who was on welfare, becoming a teenage mom myself. I was 19, had a child at 20, and just refused to be a part of the system because I grew up in it. I could see it. Women's lives were destroyed. Their spirits were taken, and I didn't want that to be me. And I just made a commitment to my unborn child that he would never have the struggles that I had, and I fought every day to get through that. And so I am a conservative because of my life experience, as with many people. And so I think that makes me, a good person to be out there in the community addressing some of these issues because I've been there. I've lived there. I have the battle wounds. I grew up in the community. I've had the experience. And so that's why I'm so passionate about fighting to reelect President Trump, because he is the only one, and this is the only time that we are ever going to be able to address these issues.
And we see that over and over again with a number of interviews we've done with Carol Swain, with Ken Blackwell, a number of folks we've interviewed in recent weeks have very similar stories. Do you feel like the Black community is more and more waking up to realize we've been sold a bill of goods, and you know what, we need, as Donald Trump said 4 years ago, what do you have to lose? Take a look at me.
I do. I absolutely do. And the reason is because we have a leader in President Trump who is serious when he says he represents all people, who means it. when he says he wants everyone's vote. Not only did he put his money where his mouth is with the community and building out the largest black coalition in the country, he's actually backing it up with manpower. We now have, as a Republican Party, 17 field offices in black communities. We have volunteers on the ground. Those numbers are growing. The latest polls in Pennsylvania, you had black voters on record with pollsters saying 27% are voting for President Trump.
Wow.
That's why the Democrats are terrified, because we are in the communities and we're telling black America the truth and telling them everything the president has accomplished.
Katrina Pierson, she will be with Laura Trump and Diamond and Silk. It starts at 4 o'clock at the Greenville Convention Centers tomorrow. Now, I guess folks can go on to DonaldJTrump.com and get tickets. Is that going to be absolutely necessary if folks don't have time to do that?
I think it's helpful because then you can, if the time or anything changes, go to DonaldJTrump.com/events. Just pick the ones. We're going to actually all over the state, so it doesn't have to be that one if you can't make it to that one. Just come out and see us. We'd love to see everybody.
Great. Katrina, thanks for checking in with us. Look forward to having you in Greenville tomorrow.
Anytime. Always great to be with you.
Okay. Thank you, dear. All right. Katrina Pierson and Laura Trump and Diamond and Silk. That's going to be fun. Tomorrow afternoon at 4 o'clock.
She's got a good story there.
Yeah. But Wikipedia, people always say, don't trust Wikipedia. And I confess, I trusted Wikipedia. But with Wikipedia, don't you go in and edit it yourself, supposedly?
That's what I understand. I know I won't trust it so much. Particularly if it have any references, I'll go to the reference links and read something on it.
561-8255. Let's go to Mike in New Bern. Hey, Mike. Mike, you with us?
Yes, sir. Hello.
Hey, how are you, sir? Good.
I'm doing great. I have one big, huge comment that I need to make.
Okay.
Did you happen to see the president speak in Fayetteville on Saturday night?
We saw most of it. We actually were out of town, and we got home. We got home about halfway through it and flipped it on.
My comment is, when you compare and contrast the President of the United States, when he's doing one of his events and he's talking to the American people, and you compare that to the other side, and the gentleman he says he's from Scranton, but he grew up in Delaware.
Wilmington, right.
When you look at how he behaves when he's talking to his staff at one of his events, because the staff's the only ones that show up, the President of the United States is actually having a good time.
Oh, yeah.
He's got a smile on his face. He's enjoying it. With the interaction that he has with American people, and contrast that to the hate-filled rhetoric of the other side, with the only thing that they have is, well, I don't like Donald Trump, and I've been in Washington for 48 years, but this time I'm going to do something, I promise.
Yeah, Mike, it's interesting because I've said this for years. You don't win elections by tearing down your opposition. But you're right, Donald Trump. Now, granted, if you follow the Trump rallies and you watch them on TV, you hear the same lines over and over again. But the guy could be a stand-up. He could be a stand-up comic. He's hilarious. He's entertaining.
I'm not saying that he doesn't have prepared remarks, and that he does. And
well, I'm talking about the ad-lib lines. I think a lot of the ad-lib lines he repeats, but they're great.
Well, I'm talking about his whole demeanor, though.
Yes.
Is he's enjoying himself.
Yes.
He's not working.
Yes.
That's when you watch how he's interacting with the crowd, that's not a guy that's just shaking hands and kissing babies to get elected. That's a guy that actually likes the American people and is having a good time interacting with them.
He's got to be having a good time. He's got to be having a good time because go to DonaldJTrump.com and /events and look at how many events he is doing has done and will continue to do between now and Election Day. The guy's the Energizer Bunny. He's got to be loving it. Otherwise, it'd kill him. I don't know where he gets his energy from. Interesting stuff. Mike, great phone call. Thank you. Appreciate it. Great insights.
How about being the guy that's in charge of his teleprompter? Because he goes off script so much. You really would have to be paying attention.
Yeah, exactly.
He's a heck of an improv guy. It's a natural talent.
He could be a stand-up comic. I mean, he's very entertaining. Polling must be looking good for Dan Forrest. Carolina Journal and the News and Observer both reporting Governor Cooper plans to allow fans at Bank of the American Stadium in Charlotte and other outdoor entertainment venues. Cooper plans to move the state toward phase 3 of its COVID-19 limits October the 2nd, when large outdoor event venues could reopen to 7% of capacity. Cooper announced that earlier today. Cooper said it was likely, very likely, that next week he would reopen outdoor venues that seat more than 10,000 people, but he made no guarantees. Instead, he cited his continued surveillance of the state's trends, nor did he clarify how far the state would progress toward phase 3. I think when he's talking about state trends, I think he's talking about the polling trends for the governor's race.
I think we're looking at phase 2.825 next. Depends on what the polls do.
So anyway, if you remember, we talked about this last week, that the university stadiums, UNC, Chapel Hill, State, East Carolina, and others, they wanted to at least let the parents in. At that point, they could have, 50 tickets, I think. He graciously raised it to a total of 450 for a stadium that holds, 60,000 people. And now he said, I'll take it up to 7% of the capacity. I do, and all honesty, it's interesting to note how Dan Forrest is running a campaign. His campaign is basically, let's reopen North Carolina. Let's get kids back to school. And look, if this was not working, Dan Forrest would not, now I think he believes it, I think he's sincere, but if it was really blowing up in his face, he'd find something else to talk about. But he continues on that path, and what's interesting is Roy Cooper is following Dan Forrest's lead.
Well, I would think, it's difficult for any campaign to campaign right now unless you're the president.
Right.
But Dan Forrest, I think he's doing a good job taking advantage of this. But I think it's what he feels is right to reopen North Carolina. But
I'm not crying any alligator tears, but according to Forbes, the NFL and local stadiums are facing a steep cost from the pandemic shutdowns. Forbes warns that the NFL could bleed 38% of its total revenue if it continues to play in 2020 without fans. The Carolina Panthers stand to lose an estimated $143 million, or 34% of its total $424 million revenue, according to Forbes. Again, I'm not crying any alligator tears for the NFL. I don't plan on watching any games this year.
I haven't watched any yet, and that's the first time that I can remember since maybe 5 years old.
Lots more to talk about on this Tuesday edition of News and Views, and we'll be talking about Ruth Bader Ginsburg and her replacement. Interestingly, the Republicans seem to be gelling together, finally. The only ones that are sort of out in the fringe are Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski. We'll talk about that. Love to hear from you. What do you think about how the Republicans are handling it so far? Trump is supposed to announce this Saturday. Stay with us. More News and Views coming up.
Fabric and Home Furnishings in Arlington Village is Greenville's complete home design center. They have an amazing design team and offer so much more than just fabric. At Fabric and Home Furnishings, they have the area's largest selection of Krypton fabric in stock. You can spill red wine on a white sofa with Krypton fabric and watch it roll right off. The Fabric and Home Furnishings design team will design a sofa for you, help you reupholster your existing sofa, or come to your home and help you with your entire project. Lisa and Dale Pendry at Fabric and Home Furnishings work hard to keep their inventory made in America. They support local craftsmen, employ ECU design students, and they can help turn your Eastern North Carolina home into a showplace. Find them on Facebook at Fabric and Home Furnishings and go see them at the store in Arlington Village. It's time to make your home a masterpiece with the help of Fabric and Home Furnishings. So much more than just a fabric store.
For your next event, project, or to help with cleaning, start with a call to Party and Equipment Rentals and Cleaning Services. Locally owned and operated by Will and Vicenta Cox, Party and Equipment Rentals and Cleaning Services in Edenton has party and event rentals like tents, siding, heating and cooling units, lighting, stages, chairs, tables, linens, plates, glassware, flatware, even bounce houses and cooking equipment. For do-it-yourselfers and contractors, Party and Equipment Rentals and Cleaning Services rents power equipment, jackhammers, trenchers, concrete and mortar mixers, even a Coyote tractor with bucket loader and backhoe. Need help cleaning? Party and Equipment Rentals and Cleaning Services can take care of residential, commercial, apartment, or construction cleaning projects. So whether it's a party, event, home project, or cleaning service, give Party and Equipment Rentals and Cleaning Services a call. 252-482-7368. Stop by their location at 408 West Queen Street in Edenton or visit their website at partyandequip.com.
That's what sleeping with a CPAP sounds like. If you can't use CPAP, imagine pressing a button and it sounding like this. That's sleeping with Inspire. No mask, no hose, just sleep. Inspire is a sleep apnea treatment that works inside the body with one click of a remote. That's right, just a button. If you have sleep apnea, great sleep awaits at InspireSleep.com. That's InspireSleep.com. Inspire. Sleep apnea innovation. No mask, no hose, just sleep.
Talk to your doctor to see if Inspire is right for you and review important safety information at InspireSleep.com.
Ottavola in Greenville is your local marketplace. Ottavola offers diverse menu selections, casual lunches, and family meals ready to go. At Ottavola, they specialize in the creative use of fresh ingredients, seasonal menu selections, and fun culinary creations from the kitchen that will satisfy even the pickiest taste buds. Treat yourself to lunch or dinner today at Ottavola, and make sure to join them the second Wednesday of every month for their free wine tastings. Ottavola, Red Banks Road in Greenville.
Safe in Biden's America. I can't even call it Biden's America.
Let your voice be heard this November.
I'm not going to be a mule. I got something to do. I got to go do boom, boom, boom.
These people are crazy.
This is Tom Lamprecht with more news and views on Talk 96.3 and 103.7.
All right, welcome back in. Take a look at your weather forecast. Fall is here. By the way, welcome to fall. Today's the first day of autumn, right? And it's going to feel like it tonight, a low around 49 with clear skies. Tomorrow looks good, though. Sunny, high near 76. Tomorrow night, not quite as crisp, a low around 55. The week looks good, though. Some clouds. Not until Friday do we have a chance of rain, but highs during the day will be in the mid-70s. Weather brought to you by our friends at Ironwood Golf and Country Club. Celebrate your big event this year at Ironwood Golf and Country Club. Over $300,000 in upgrades and improvements. We're looking better than ever. Our plantation-style clubhouse is the perfect setting to host your wedding, birthday, anniversary, baby reveal party, graduation celebration. Well, you might have that in December. A business meeting, holiday party. Ironwood offers several private party spaces leading out to terraces with beautiful views of the Lee Trevino Signature Golf Course. Make your celebration one to remember at one of the most beautiful venues in Eastern North Carolina. Contact Taylor Hetzel, banquet manager at Ironwood Golf and Country Club. Her number is 252-752-4653, or email Taylor at foodandbeverage@ironwoodgolf.com. The Inner Banks sports guru has made a surprise appearance on News and Views. Patrick Johnson.
It's the magic of radio time.
There you go. He's on two stations at once. As if you flip over to 94.3, he's talking to Mike Houston. If you're on 103.7 or 93.6, you're right here with Patrick and Benny and Tom. I wanted to talk to you about the governor's big announcement that 7%. I don't want to shortchange it. Don't want to shortchange it. 7% of capacity will be allowed to come into the stadiums to watch the Panthers, to watch East Carolina. First of all, are we going to have a wrestling match to see who gets in? I mean, how's that going to work?
Well, I know with ECU, they've talked about season ticket holders and
they'll get first priority.
And then students, I think they want to let some students in as well. But where does he get 7%? I mean, the SEC this weekend, and if you guys have watched any college football, Notre Dame, you saw fans in the stands. Despite the Corona bros and sports media getting upset about it, they were socially distanced. If you looked at the, overhead shot from the Goodyear blimp, it looks, in a stadium like they're closer than they are. In other words, you had fans at Marshall. That was a national game this week, so App State fans were watching Marshall fans in the stands. Same thing with Duke fans. Both of the Duke fans watched the Notre Dame game.
We got some Duke fans here. And last time I checked, we carried the Duke games here on the station.
Right.
So
but you have all of these places in Texas, and you're going to see it in the SEC stadiums this weekend, where there are 20 to 25% of the fans. I'm not saying put 50% in the stands. Don't let everybody come through the gates. But where do you get 7% in a 50,000 seat stadium? It's 3,500 people, which will be 10 times the amount that are going to be let in this weekend when the Pirates open against UCF. It's just ridiculous.
Well, another question is, why does it's got to be a stadium that's 10,000 folks or bigger?
Well, what's
why?
the difference in like a little 6,000 seat amphitheater?
If it's still 7%, what difference does it make?
That's what just.
Well, it's all about the science.
Right, the political science. But I mean, here's the thing. I mean, it's just he uses, and I know you've talked about this ad nauseum. We've talked about it all summer on the sports show because it's had an impact on in the world of sports, and politics and sports are all intermingled now. The fact that you don't get complete. I mean, what is he basing this number? You never get the complete data, and when those data points finally come in through other agencies reporting them, he hops onto something else, or he changes whatever. You talk about the classic moving the goalpost. That's what this is every time.
The whole time it's been moving the goalpost.
I mean, it's infuriating to listen to that today from the big sports fan, as he likes to call himself. Where do you get that number 7%? Let's do 10%, do 20%. 7%.
Now, I don't want to preempt your interview with Mike Houston, although I don't know if it's airing as we speak or you're going to bring it up later. But what did Mike Houston have to say about this? And of course, when you recorded this, it probably
we had not gotten to that point yet.
Okay,
but
you didn't. Know
he has talked about it this year. I mean, he wants fans, and he was really passionate about the idea of at least allowing the kids' parents to watch them. Yeah. I mean, there's going to be kids this weekend, Tom, who's maybe a mom, a dad. Or both parents, or a grandmother that's raised them, family members that have raised. They'll be the first time ever they won't be at one of their relatives' games or one of their kids' games. Think about that.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you love to go to your grandson's baseball game.
Absolutely.
So much so you were doing your best Vin Scully to get him to see the game.
You're right.
But you know what I'm saying? It's just
exactly.
Because if you could stymie this economy, you could stymie the national number.
Yeah.
And it's
Speaking of the economy, that's my second question for you. According to Forbes, the Panthers will lose an estimated $143 million.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Of its total $400.
You're talking 5,000 people in a 70,000 seat stadium when they return to Bank of America Stadium in a couple weeks.
What kind of wake-up call will this be for? I mean, the NFL has been cocky and on top for a lot of years. And I mean that sincerely. I mean, I can remember when I was a kid growing up in Baltimore, the Baltimore Colts didn't start their games until 2 o'clock. Why? Because they went out of everybody else was starting at 1 o'clock on the East Coast. They started at 2 because they didn't want to interfere with church services.
Right.
Those days are long
gone. The thing about this, Benny and Tom, is that when you look at the NFL, it's more of that television revenue model. I mean, yes, the Panthers may lose that amount of money, but the NFL is in a lot better shape.
What kind of ratings are they seeing, though?
There's a big decline to start the year. I mean, everything has been down. I've not looked at the numbers for what the weekend did or what Monday Night Football did, but if you look at Week 1, I mean, you're talking 20% off. In a lot of cases, the Sunday night games, the Sunday night game, which is the highest rated
down.
television
28% down from a year ago.
Not just highest rated football or sporting event; it's the highest rated TV show each fall. Is the Sunday night game, and it was way off, like you said. But you look, in some cases, couldn't happen to a nicer bunch of people when it comes to the NFL. The college situation,
I've got more sympathy for college.
Take your hat off to what the SEC is doing. I mean, take your head off to the governors of the southern states that have, Tom, they've played thousands of high school football games where they don't have the testing that college or pro have. And there's been no documented case of COVID being transmitted playing high school football.
Political correctness on the college campus is a lot greater than it is at the high school campus, apparently. Thank you, sir, for stepping in and giving us your thoughts on that.
I'm just glad I got to see Benny. I didn't know he was the counterpoint to your point. I didn't realize he was a Democrat counterpoint to your point. I'm kidding. I'm messing with Benny. I'm messing with Benny because we're Lenoir County homeboys.
I'm actually a recovering Democrat.
We've gotten a lot of complaints, though. He doesn't look as good as Sadie. But
that's obvious.
It's a hair.
I mean, that's yeah. But thank you, Tom, and we'll see what ends up happening here. I thought there was no way he was going to go to phase 3 today. I mean, that wasn't going to happen.
No.
But I mean, we like to call him Governor Wimpy, and I mean, what a wimpy effort today. 7%. It's just
I think I know where the 7% came from.
What was that?
taxes.
Yeah, the Republican-led legislator took it from the income tax from 7% to 5%. So he's saying what he wants his
Taxes.
income tax to go to.
But it's all about the science and the data, don't you know?
Yeah.
Well,
Don't you know?
my granddad always told me, he said, "Son, figures lie and liars figure. So go figure."
Well, again, though, we have said since March, November 3rd, it'll all be done.
Oh, yeah.
November 4th, it'll all be done. And I think the only reason this is going in the direction it's going is, again, we said at the beginning of this, the polling numbers must be looking better for Dan Forest.
Which is good.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Patrick, thank you for stopping in. Great to see you again. So, Ruth Bader Ginsburg. It's all about how is she going to be replaced? When is she going to be replaced? Who are they going to replace her with? The president came out and said that he will announce this Saturday. The other big question is, will this help or hurt the presidency? The campaign, I should say, of President Trump. A great piece written by Michael Dougherty in the National Review. And there's a couple of folks that have made this point. First of all, if you have somebody like Amy Barrett, who is a very attractive, very conservative woman of faith, a Roman Catholic, she has so much going for her. It's going to be hard for her to be chastised by the Democrats. I mean, first of all, are they going to go after a Roman Catholic when the Catholic population in a swing state like Pennsylvania is pretty significant? She has 2 adopted children that are black from Haiti. She has a special needs child. She's very well spoken. She's graduated from Notre Dame, taught there. It's going to be hard for her to be attacked.
Well, Senator Feinstein from California went after her.
She did.
At the, I guess, the federal appeals court judge position.
What's interesting about that, if they go after her faith, and I don't know exactly what language she ought to use or how she ought to frame it, but it's against the law to have an anti-religious litmus test. And quite frankly, that ought to be her reply. Why are you asking me? That's off the table. You're breaking the law.
I specifically remember the hearing when she was up for the judge position. Maybe 17 or 17, I guess. And I remember that
I think it was
line
17,
of questioning from Feinstein. I just couldn't. I just could not believe it. And I went and watched it last night because I remember how bad it was that she would do that.
The Dems will do anything.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the other thing that's funny is they say, if you do this, everything is on the table. We're going to do all kinds of nasty stuff. Well, what have you been doing for the last 3.5 years if it hadn't been nasty stuff?
Well,
how can you do anything worse than what you've done?
The only thing I have to say to any Democrat that comes up with, anything about a judge, you just think about, in my lifetime, the Republicans have never grilled candidates like this.
No.
Never. I mean, it started back as far as I remember, it's probably Bork and then Clarence Thomas. But every time a Republican president put something up, the only one was Chief Justice Roberts, and that might have been telling us something.
Yeah,
maybe he wasn't quite as conservative as everybody thought he was. But
no, you're right. And the thing about it is, and you look at the votes, even for Sotomayor, I think she got. There was a number of Republicans who voted for Elaine Kagan, and the attitude was, this is how the system works. The president has the right to nominate who he wants, and it's up to the Senate to advise and consent, and the Republicans take that seriously. The Democrats live by the idea that we're going to personally decimate you. We're going to tear you from limb to limb. We're going to do everything we can possibly do just to tear you apart and to ruin you. Getting back to this piece by Dougherty, the main point he makes that I think is really right on is he has changed the Joe Biden narrative. Well, not Trump has changed it, but Dougherty points out that the narrative has changed by Joe Biden from talking about COVID-19 and how poorly Donald Trump, which again is ridiculous, but how poorly Donald Trump has handled the coronavirus. Now, front and center, the whole debate has now changed to the replacement of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and it's taken coronavirus off the table. It's taken it off the headlines. And what's also interesting is it has totally shown how the Democrats, you mentioned how poorly they've treated others in the past, but they're just going ballistic. Do you have that clip by Don Lemon in there? Yes. This is Don Lemon from CNN from last night, just going crazy. And this isn't as crazy as it got, but he and Cuomo are on there talking about it. He wants to blow everything up.
I don't know. You know what we're going to? Yes, what you're going to have to do. You just got to vote. Honestly, from what your closing argument is, you're going to have to get rid of the Electoral College because the people. I don't see it. Because the minority in this country decides who the judges are and they decide who the president is. But you need a constitutional amendment to do that. And if Joe Biden wins, Democrats can stack the courts. And they can do that amendment and they can get it passed. Well, you need 2/3 vote in the Congress and 3/4 of the state legislatures. They may be able to do that. Maybe. No matter what happens, everybody sticks with their team. We're going to have to blow up the entire system. And you know what we're going to have to do? No, I don't know. You know what we're going to? Yes, what you're going to have to do? You just got to vote. Honestly, from what your closing argument is, you're going to have to get rid of the Electoral College because the people.
All right, that's repeating itself. But so he wants to blow up the whole system. That's his attitude, and that's their attitude. And you have all kinds of people come in and say, we're just going to burn it down. Are they talking literally or figuratively? Are the anarchists going to come in? And by the way, right now, outside of Mitch McConnell's house and Lindsey Graham's house, Lindsey Graham is, of course, the chairman of the Judiciary Committee, you got protesters. You got anarchists right outside their house. Lindsey Graham's not there. He had to send out an apology to his neighbors for these idiots that are out there causing trouble. I mean, who lives like this? I mean, they want anarchy, and it's like a child throwing a temper tantrum.
You know, after the announcement of Ruth Bader Ginsburg's death, I got out my notepad over the weekend and through yesterday and just started jotting some things down that Democrats said. Schumer's already threatened to expand the court.
Yep. And the filibuster.
Nancy Pelosi's telling everybody that Trump, impeach Trump, impeach Barr.
They want to add.
They're coming after your children.
Puerto Rico and Washington D.C. as states.
Yeah, and they're coming after your children. That's what Nancy Pelosi, the majority leader in the House of our people, said. They're coming after your children.
It's unbelievable how low the Democrats will go in order to get a victory. Somebody mentioned to me yesterday when I was in the car traveling. It's like the fall of the Roman Empire when individuals, one of the reasons why Rome fell is because people were more concerned about their personal power and prestige than they were about the state. And boy, if that's not us today, I don't know what is. We got to take a time out. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
In this election, the health and financial security of Americans 50 plus are on the line. From preventing cuts to Social Security to protecting Medicare to lowering prescription drug prices, you deserve to cast your vote on the issues that matter to you. And AARP is here to help. We're working to make sure your voice is heard. And this year, that means voting early and voting safely. Know all your voting options, in person, from home, or absentee. And if you're not voting in person, be sure to request and return your ballot early. Everyone from working parents to family caregivers to seniors in nursing homes should be able to vote safely. So don't wait. Visit us at aarp.org/ncvotes and find out how to vote early. You deserve the peace of mind that comes with voting safely and knowing your vote will count. Learn how AARP North Carolina is fighting to protect voters 50 plus. Visit aarp.org/ncvotes today. Paid for by AARP.
Hey, this is Gray Fussell, and I'm a junior at East Carolina. In a few weeks, I'll be turning 21, and I hope to be celebrating a lot of pirate victories with a glass of Duplin wine. As a proud member of Duplin Winery's fourth-generational winemakers, I hope you'll join me. Duplin's deliciously sweet and easy-to-drink wines can be found in your favorite neighborhood store. Thanks for your support, and go Pirates. Oh, and if you see my mom, tell her she can finally stop hiding her hatters red. I'm legal.
Duplin Winery, the winery of the South, Rose Hill, North Carolina, and North Myrtle Beach.
University PC Care has been Eastern North Carolina's go-to IT expert since 2006. Unfortunately, many organizations simply react to IT issues after the damage is done. Don't get stuck in the break-fix cycle. University PC Care's Business Services Division has a better way. A proactive solution called BizCare. What's at your office? Call William at 394-8572 to schedule your free BizCare consultation or learn more at universitypccare.com.
It's summertime, and there's no better time to drive away in a quality pre-owned car or truck from Greenville Auto World. Let Greenville Auto World show
Hey, Eastern North Carolina, let's talk real estate. Ready to skip the headaches and hassles of listing your home? What if you could sell your home in as little as 72 hours for cash, with no commissions, no showings, and no open houses? Call Tire Realty Group and ask about our exclusive TRG offers program. Call 252-758-HOME. That's 252-758-4663. It's real estate without commissions, headaches, and hassles. Or visit us online at trgoffers.com and start packing.
It's the stuff people are talking about.
Antifa and Black Lives Matter thing.
So let's keep the conversation going.
It's all smoke and mirrors. They're overplaying their hand again.
Because this matters. This is Tom Lamprecht with more news and views on Talk 96.3 and 103.7.
Welcome in, Tom and Benny with you, 561-8255. Let's go down to Havelock. We have Rick on the line. Hey, Rick.
Hey, Tom, Benny. I'd like to make a couple of points. Actually, it was Andy McCarthy brought it up yesterday, and Russ kind of ran on it. These hearings are not required in the Constitution. And the way that the Democrats have been beating up every nominee we've had since Reagan, actually before that, but this is going to be just nuts. I mean, when they did Kavanaugh, that was supposed to be a 3-day hearing.
Right.
Guess what Franken Feinstein did on the third day? She found a letter from Christy Ballsy Ford, and that drug it out for 2 more weeks. I mean,
and that was the same thing with Clarence Thomas. I mean, suddenly they found Anita Hill.
You'd think that Gramnesty would learn a lesson, and this thing is going to make the confirmation of Kavanaugh look like a 5-year-old little girl's birthday party. You know, look like Wonderland. Because you ever seen 2 women in a cat fight? It gets vicious, and these women will tear her apart.
Well, I think what you're alluding to, I think, is very wise counsel. That is, let's keep it brief. Let's get it in there, keep it brief. Go ahead and, get it through the Judiciary Committee, run a tight committee, and get it out of committee, take the vote, party line vote. We know how everybody's going to vote ahead of time. Get it to the floor of the Senate and get it through there as quickly as possible. And,
the other point.
The other
point.
Go ahead.
The other point was I was listening to Mark last night. Remember back in was it 12 or 13, Obama was having a hard time getting stuff through. Well, Obama increased the Fifth Circuit in D.C., adding 3 more Democrat judges. So that helped him with his pen and his phone push a whole bunch of legislation through that they could run through the courts and get it approved.
Yeah. I do. I have to confess I don't remember that, but I take your word for it.
I didn't remember it either, but yeah.
Take your word for it. Yeah. Anyway, it's going to be interesting to see what they can do. Their threats, I think, are pretty empty. It's like a child throwing a temper tantrum. I'm going to hold my breath until I turn blue. Kicking mom in the shins. Some little brat that needs to be taken out behind the woodshed and given a good spanking. And don't email me that I'm proposing child abuse. But good call, Rick. Rick brings up the packing of the court. Really interesting because Biden said, I think it was back in June, that he didn't think it was a good idea, that we would rue the day if we decide to pack the Supreme Court.
As did Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Yeah. Interestingly, somebody got to Biden because now he won't answer the question again. He was asked yesterday, should we pack the court? Well, I don't know.
Well, in all fairness, Tom, he may have forgot.
He probably did. But essentially, a little history lesson. I don't know if it's always been 9, but it's been 9 since the 1800s.
Yeah.
And Andrew Johnson, when he became president after Lincoln died, and Andrew Johnson was his vice president, he did not get along with Congress at all. They lowered his number down to 7 and wouldn't let him nominate anybody else. As soon as Ulysses S. Grant was elected president, they took it back to 9. It's been at 9 ever since. In the 1930s, when FDR was trying to get his New Deal through, he wanted, and he was getting a lot of pushback, and the Supreme Court, the older guys in the Supreme Court were saying what you're doing is unconstitutional. You don't have the authority to do things you're doing. I mean, FDR was a liberal. I mean, we look back on him now with fondness, but he was the modern. Back then, he was the Barack Obama of his day, trying to use his pen and phone to do as much as he could. And so what he proposed is that every time somebody on the Supreme Court would turn 70, he would put an additional member of the Supreme Court up to 6. He wanted to take it up to 15. And what's interesting, you pointed out during the break, his own party said, no, you're not going to do that.
You know, I guess 70 in 1930, whatever year that was, it was in the 30s.
That was
probably,
pretty old.
Probably a little different than 70 now.
Yeah, exactly. But, you know, Biden can flip-flop. I mean, Democrats can flip-flop all they want. They get a pass. There's no questions asked. So, anyway, he flip-flopped on that. Richard Burr apparently came out today and said that he thinks this ought to go quickly. Let's go ahead and get it over with. Let's do it and approve it and see where it goes. And got a little audio clip I'll play for you when we get back from the one guy that you think, okay, is this guy going to vote with us or against us? We know he hates Trump. We'll have that when we get back.
It's summertime here at East Carolina Chrysler Jeep.
Come check out our huge selection of Ram trucks.
East Carolina Chrysler Dodge Jeep has huge savings on 2020 Ram trucks during Ram Power Days. Save up to $10,000 off MSRP or get 0% financing for 72 months and no payments for 90 days. It's Jeep Adventure Days at East Carolina Chrysler Dodge Jeep. Did you know that the Jeep Grand Cherokee is the most awarded SUV ever? Save up to $8,000 off MSRP on 2020 Jeep Grand Cherokees or get 0% financing for 84 months on Jeep Cherokee, Compass, and Renegade, and no payments for 90 days. We are East Carolina Chrysler Dodge Jeep, serving customers and community for over 37 years.
East Carolina Chrysler Jeep.
Across from the Cracker Barrel in Greenville.
Come see us. Come see us.
Customer must qualify for all rebates. See dealer for details.
Scotland Eckhart Pine has a great supply of rustic white oak, the wood that homeowners are trying to find for the finest homes throughout the eastern seaboard. Rustic white oak can handle kids, pets, and the stresses of daily life, and it always looks great. Scotland Eckhart Pine has long links and wide planks, the best of the best that create the look that discriminating homeowners are seeking. Call 252-536-1348 or go to snhartpine.com today and give your home the wow factor with help from Scotland Eckhart Pine.
With summer winding down and fall around the corner, don't let the family fun end. Wimbledon Tennis and Recreation Center is offering a special rate until the end of the year of just $60 per person or $75 per family with a $200 initiation fee. Get in the game with year-round activities including Wimbledon's outdoor lighted hydro grid clay courts, 3 indoor high-quality tennis courts, and access to a state-of-the-art fitness center. Your membership includes indoor and outdoor tennis, pickleball, outdoor pool, and a fitness center with equipment and weight training. They offer tri-tennis programs, youth and adult activities, monthly member specials and tournaments, and lessons from their USPA certified on-site pro, Will Bissett, and staff. Wimbledon Tennis and Recreation Center is located right in the heart of Greenville off Arlington Boulevard on Wimbledon Drive. For membership information, contact Whitney Sauter at 252-916-5333. Again, that's 252-916-5333. Or visit their website at wimbledonathletics.com.
You still have time to accelerate your future with late start classes at Pitt Community College. New students interested in late start classes may contact PCC admissions counselors or search late start classes at our website. Current students may register by contacting their faculty advisor. For more information on late start classes, go to pittcc.edu. With over 24,000 students enrolled in over 4,000 classes, we're Pitt Community College, accelerating your future for success.
Let your voice be heard this November. Register to vote now at vote.gov.
I suppose it would be my civic duty.
From Talk 96.3 and 103.7, here's Tom Lamprecht with more news and views.
Welcome back in. It is News and Views. Tom and Benny with you on a Tuesday. Welcome to fall. Happy first day of fall. I hate to see the summer end. I love the cool weather of fall, but I hate to see the days get shorter. But here we are. It is election season, full swing. Where will Mitt Romney come down on this nominee? He said earlier today something that surprised conservatives. We're always very skeptical how liberal, how much of a rhino is Mitt Romney? He's proved himself to be a rhino, but what he said today, you've got to admire.
So I recognize that we may have a court which has more of a conservative bent than it's had over the last few decades. But my liberal friends have, over many decades, gotten very used to the idea of having a liberal court. And that's not written in the stars. And I know that a lot of people are saying, gosh, we don't want that change. I understand the energy associated with that perspective. But it's also appropriate for a nation which is, if you will, center-right, to have a court which reflects center-right points of view, which, again, are not changing the law from what it states, but instead following the law and following the Constitution.
Good for Mitt Romney. Surprise, surprise. But yeah, he made some other comments that just said, we've got a conservative bent, and the libs have had their way for too long. And you know what? Welcome to where rural, real America is. The folks out in the highways and byways, we're more conservative than we are liberal, and that's how the court ought to be.
He said all that, and he's not on the ballot, too, so I'm even more impressed.
There you go. Maybe there's hope for Mitt. Maybe he's feeling some heat from Utah. And thanks for being with us. Our thanks to Katrina and all the gang that will be out there at the Convention Center tomorrow at 4 o'clock. We hope you come out and see Laura Trump, Diamond and Silk, and Katrina Pierson. We'll see you tomorrow at 5 o'clock. Bye-bye.
GoEco is the office equipment company that people all over eastern North Carolina are